This is a closeout presentation for the proposal Idea Collaboration Tool, which was a Fund 6 proposal in the DLT Entrepreneurship Toolbox Challenge. The proposal was funded for $10,500, which was 6,465 ADA at the time. The purpose of this proposal was to make a tool for submitting ideas so the community could get more feedback and find other people to collaborate with. The deliverables focused on an idea submission form to add any new ideas, to then present these ideas with the relevant filters to search through them, to implement an upvote and downvote system, and then to output this data periodically to an open source repository. In terms of the issues and changing environment, this proposal was not blocked from being executed. We could have created a completely separate solution. The key reason we decided to pause these execution efforts was due to the product development environment. This idea really required enough support and adoption for it to produce enough evidence that this solution approach would actually be effective. During this time period that this proposal was funded in Fund 6 and up until Fund 9, the Catalyst team was seriously overburdened with work needed to operate the funding process, where funding rounds were happening roughly every 3 to 4 months. It was a daunting task for them to maintain this process. Even if we had executed the idea tool as intended, it was very difficult to expect the Catalyst team to have enough capacity to support, endorse, and integrate this solution into the funding process. Without enough support, this solution would have just been another flash in the pan website that no one really needed to use. So due to this, we paused the execution of this proposal until it was more clear how it was going to get sufficient support, adoption, and integration into the funding process to prove whether it's going to be effective. Moving forward towards the Fund 10 timeframe, the Catalyst team announced the official Catalyst website, which would soon be the new home for the funding process. Now, this was a great development for the ecosystem. However, this official Catalyst website was also going to be the much more logical place to experiment with this idea tool suggestion that we were originally going to work on in this proposal. As well as this, we had been working on funding categorization analysis prior to this announcement, and our efforts had helped to result in impactful changes being made to the Catalyst process. It became much more clear to us that supporting the Catalyst team with analytical resources and supporting efforts could be far more impactful than creating a separate and unnecessary solution that isn't well integrated into the funding process. This helped us to ultimately make the decision to pivot this proposal to help with more analysis efforts through the Web3 Association. The proposal outcomes from our pivoted execution efforts focus on making educational resources about Treasury systems and disbursement. These images help to highlight some of the analysis that we completed between November 2023 and March 2024. You can find all of this analysis at treasuries.co. This proposal was one of 3 that helped to fund these contribution efforts, and this proposal supported 4 weeks worth of that effort. One of the key suggestions that emerged from this analysis was a proposal outlining the opportunity to experiment with an open source contributor funding process. This is a funding process that has a ton of long-term potential, and we've been actively sharing this proposal with the community and the Catalyst team. The project has a number of KPIs that it wanted to address. These included increasing the idea flow and feedback, increasing proposal quality, and increasing collaboration. Our pivoted efforts to make educational resources could definitely help with addressing these KPIs. One of the suggestions that emerged from the analysis was the usage of an independent and persistent idea system. This suggestion is in line with some of the original thoughts from this proposal. However, now with the official Catalyst website being developed, this is the most logical place to host this idea system. An independent idea system would mean any community member would be able to suggest and share ideas at any time. This persistent idea system would better support more idea flow and feedback, which can help with increasing collaboration and the quality of these proposals over time. Next, our suggestions of an independent idea process and funding open source contributors can also help with making it easier to make contributions. Community members could suggest ideas without needing to be the ones who execute the idea. And contributors could be selected to help with working in the ecosystem without needing to come up with an idea beforehand. They could instead just help with existing ideas. The open source contributor funding process suggestion can also be helpful for making it easier for projects to receive support. This is really relevant to the intentions of this challenge, where contributors could help entrepreneurs that have little experience in the ecosystem by reviewing their ideas and giving feedback to them about what tools and software they could use that are already available. This could help with turning their initial ideas into more feasible and realistic suggestions. And then finally, the open source contributor funding process suggestion can also have helped with making contribution efforts more flexible. Contributors could help with making many ideas move and could move between ideas more easily. This environment can help with increasing the idea flow and feedback and increasing the collaboration between projects in the ecosystem, which aligns with the desired outcomes from this proposal. In terms of learnings, a key learning that has been relevant to many of our proposals is the importance of contribution flexibility. We paused our execution efforts for this proposal when it made sense to do so. And then we also pivoted our contribution efforts towards other areas when it was clear that the original plan was not going to generate enough impact. Being flexible means contributors can respond to what actually happens and align themselves with efforts that have a better probability of making high impact. And then finally, another learning we made is around the importance of discussion and experimentation. Our analytical efforts and suggestions provide a great starting point to explore promising solutions and funding approaches. However, if these suggestions are going to make any impact, they need to be discussed and experimented with in the community. We've been sharing our analysis and suggestions in the community and to the Catalyst team to try and initiate these discussions and experiments. There are no future plans in terms of the original intentions of this project. The Web3 Association was the natural evolution from our previous analytical efforts. The Web3 Association is focused on education resources and experiments that can help to improve treasury systems across the industry. In terms of links, we have some initial planning and discussion we did before we decided to pause the execution of this original proposal. Then, in terms of the pivoted Web3 Association efforts, the links are all detailed below. And then finally, you can also review our contribution logs that we submit every month to highlight what we are working on each of those months. That's all for this one. Thanks for listening.